What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here for another press conference reaction. We play Dinamo Zagreb tomorrow night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the first leg of the last 16 of the Europa League. Big game, isn't it, Sim?
Massive game, massive game. Also, with the North London derby coming up to keep momentum going, it's all very important. It's all very important in the context of the season, and I think that if we can get a good result going into North London derby, it just keeps that momentum going that we've been building for the last few matches, and that's really important. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of lineup he plays on Thursday with the North London derby in mind. And I'm excited because obviously the Europa League is such a massive opportunity for us this season, so we obviously don't want to throw away it by any stretch of the imagination. We obviously want to take it very, very seriously, but it will be a very delicate balancing act this week for Jose in terms of how he manages both teams.
Yeah, most definitely. And obviously the press conference has been done. We've got the transcripts. We don't have the full transcripts just yet, but we're going to go through the highlights with you for now. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, we'll go through every question, but I don't have every single quote right now, but we have enough to go through. One second. I'm going to get the phone up.
Just while my brothers get everything ready for you, just go scroll down, smash that like, smash that subscribe button. And yeah, it helps us very much so with the algorithms and all that. And if you don't do it, you know who is going to be after you. You just know it. But let's get into the transcripts. Let's get into every word Jose Mourinho has said in the build up to this massive game against Dinamo Zagreb. Yeah, are we ready?
Yeah, one sec. Just getting up. All right. We've got some quotes here from Jose Mourinho. We'll start with the first question, which he was asked. He was asked basically, where has it gone? He was asked basically the team news. Who's available? Is Giovanni Lo Celso ready? After he said last week that Lo Celso was very likely to be ready for this game. He basically said Gio is not ready, but it's nothing to do with his previous important injury from which he's totally recovered. But with his accumulation of work, he's got a bit of back pain, so he's had to stop what he's doing. So not for this match. Apart from that, Joe Rodon, who is not registered, everyone else is available. Am I going to repeat the team that played against Crystal Palace? The answer is no. So that's interesting there from Mourinho. Sounds like Lo Celso's had a bit of a setback, though, which is not great news. And hopefully he can be back sooner rather than later. But it doesn't. Obviously, it's good he's recovered from his other injury. But it sounds like maybe in recovering from that injury, he's maybe done something else.
Yeah, from those quotes, it doesn't sound like it's too bad. But we just don't know, do we? So hopefully he can feature somewhat against Arsenal, if not Arsenal in the second leg of Zagreb.
Yeah, I hope so. We need him sooner rather than later, back as soon as possible, Gio. But he said, is he going to play the same team against Palace? No, but he also did go on to say... more from me, we won't play the same team that beat Palace, but any team we put out will be strong. So he's kind of putting trust in his squad, basically saying any side that we play will be definitely good enough to basically win the game, and it will be a strong lineup.
And I mean, as well, with the kind of fringe players really stepping up over the last couple of weeks, then I firmly believe that as well.
Yeah, and he said, we're not going to prioritise competitions. The next match is the most important match. I'm not thinking about the Arsenal match yet. But judging by what he's saying there, we're not going to prioritise competitions. Do you think, in terms of the front three, Bale, Son and Kane, what do you think it means for them playing?
I still think, even though he's saying he's not going to prioritise competitions, I still feel that he's still going to give players rest when they need it. And players like Kane and Son and Højbjerg need rest. Let's be honest.
He did already say Højbjerg will be rested.
Exactly.
But what about, do you think both Kane and Son, do you think they both won't play?
I got a feeling just one of them will play. I got a feeling maybe Vinicius comes in for this one. But as well, on the flip side of that, Sonny probably does need a rest as well. So maybe it is them both. But like you keep mentioning in the build up to the game, we do have 5 subs. So if things aren't going the way we want, then maybe they can come on.
Exactly. So I think that's a very important. It is very important to realise. It would be interesting. I think one of them will play. I don't know if Alf Bale. I think Dele's going to get a run out. So I think that's one of the front 4 in there. I think potentially Lamela as well. But I think of the other 2 positions, I think one of Son and Kane will play.
I actually think it's going to be Dele, I've got a feeling both of them are going to be on the bench.
Who's both of them?
Son and Kane. And I got a feeling the front four will be Bergwijn, Lamela, Vinicius up top. Who's the
one?
Dele, sorry, yeah.
I've got a feeling it won't be Vinicius. That's the one I think will miss out. I reckon it's one of Son or Kane will be up top, and those three behind. But we'll see. He was then asked. Basically, he was responding to Arteta. He was asked.
The Tapas Tony Pulis.
The Tapas Tony Pulis, who claimed that the fixture being moved for Tottenham, the first leg is in their favour because it means they'll have more rest time, and people are saying, is it an advantage? He was basically asked about that. He said, on December 6th, we played Arsenal in our stadium. On December 3rd, they played at home to Rapid Vienna. At the same time, we were playing in the very cold and icy in Linz Lask with a late flight back. Was that an advantage to Arsenal? ? So that is, and then he kind of just had a pause, like a dramatic pause after that, basically saying, what do you think about that? And I think that was a fairly good retort in terms of whether it's an advantage or not, because obviously we ended up beating Arsenal 2-0 that game. And obviously, do I think it's a slight advantage? I think it's slight, but it's not too much advantage that kind of you take into account going into the game. At the end of the
day, Premier League players, especially Premier League players from clubs like Arsenal, Tottenham, Man United, the top clubs are used to travelling. You know what I mean? It's not like they're travelling in the back seat of a car, like scrunched up with four guys in the back of a three-seater. You know what I mean? They're travelling in complete luxury where they get complete rest. It's not exactly the biggest
but
deal.
It just means they get back, because they're travelling on Thursday or maybe Friday. They get back at a later time, less training time on the pitch, less time to recover. That's all. These things can sometimes add up, but I don't think it's enough of an advantage to say that it definitely means we're going to win or anything like that. It just means a slight thing.
As Sai saying in the comments, Arteta is making excuses in preparation for the loss at the weekend.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that sounds like Arteta.
So, I think that yes, it might be a slight advantage for the North London derby, but their biggest games are the Europa League anyway, and they're getting the advantage in the Europa League for paying away first game.
Yeah. That's true. So that's where their season is at the moment. All their eggs in the Europa League basket. So it'll be very interesting. All right, we do actually have the whole transcript now. So let me just try and get that up in a sec. That has just been released. 1 sec.
All right, the full transcripts are here, people.
All right.
Strike that like for the full transcripts.
Full transcript.
82 likes, guys. Let's at least get it to 100 in the next 10 minutes. Come on, I know you guys are possible.
He then so in terms of his full answer, in terms of how much you're going to have to prioritise due to your schedule, do you have enough players in the squad to battle on all three fronts? He said, we're not going to prioritise. The next match is always the most important. I'm not thinking about the Arsenal match. I'm thinking about this one. We're going to make changes the same way we made changes again between the Fulham match and the Crystal Palace match. The team is playing well. The team is winning. You could think no changes, but we do need to change. We do change because we trust the players. The level is very high. When everybody is working the way they do, people deserve to play, and it's easy for me to trust them. Yes, tomorrow we are not going to play with the same team we played against Palace, but the team is going to be equally strong. Not at all. We are not going to prioritise competitions. As you say, we played 2 competitions plus the final, and we are going to try and be strong in every one. So that was response to that question. He then went to answer the question, do you expect the rescheduling to give you an advantage on Sunday, which we went through. He clearly doesn't think it is. He was then asked, is this Spurs' best route into the Champions League? Or is it top 4? He says, I don't think about it. I just think about trying to win tomorrow. Sunday, the next match in Europa League, the next match Premier League. That's the way it has to be done. That's the way I want players to feel. We're not going to throw away any competition. If we're knocked out of Europa League, it's not because we didn't go with a strong team. It's because the opponents were better than us. And if we don't finish in top 4 in the Premier League, it's because the other clubs did better than us and they had more points. But we are going to go strong. So what do you think, based on that, when he's saying we're going to go strong in Europa League, maybe we're not going to go as rested as people think? I don't know. It's hard to read too much into it.
I think when he says we're going to go strong, I think he's saying we're going with a team that's capable of winning the game. I don't think he's talking about any specific players. I think that like he said already, that we mentioned, that he's going to pick a team that's capable of winning the game. And I think a team even without Kane or without Son, is still capable of winning this game.
All right. He was then asked, what have you made of the European football power grab and the potential new format? And do you want to avoid the UEFA Conference League next season? He says, I'm nobody. I'm just a football hard-working guy. I'm a coach. I work hard to do the best for my players in the club. I try to be outside anything that's not in my hand. It's a bit like IFAB and the decisions about handballs and offsides. You have to just wait for the important guys to make decisions, and we have to adapt to it. The only thing that doesn't change for me is the nature of football, which is the next match and we want to win, and the competitions where we are involved are the competitions we're trying to do good. What will be decided, and of course there are very difficult things for clubs and coaches, but we have to adapt to it, and that's it. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to be said there, but it's interesting, this new proposal potentially preventing Champions League clubs from buying from other Champions League clubs.
I don't get this whole thing that they're trying to bring in, man.
It's to stop just dominance, maybe from the top clubs, just buying for the best players from like the second place clubs, and then all of a sudden creating like a monopoly, like Bayern, how they just raid the good teams in Bundesliga.
Yeah, but so a player that's at a club that's not happy at a club, let's say a Champions League club, he can't go to another Champions League club. He needs to go to a lesser club to get back to a bigger club.
Yeah, but it encourages competition potentially. That's what they're saying. It encourages players to stay where they are and provides better competition in terms of players. The other clubs will have better players because they can't move to the better clubs.
Do you not think a better way of battling that is potential like wage caps or something like that? I know they've tried it with like the financial fair play, but that doesn't really work.
Yeah, I don't know. Wage caps. I don't know how. I'm not sure if it will solve it. It could solve the issue in terms of because the bigger clubs won't be able to pay as much. Well, won't be able to pay. They can pay just the same as anyone else. But would it prevent players wanting to move? Maybe a bit. I don't know if it'll be the ultimate solution though. So, but they're just trying new things. It's interesting. He then was asked about Daniel Levy. He said it's been 20 years of Daniel Levy as Spurs chairman. What have you made of his achievements on and off the pitch? He says, I always look to my bosses with the utmost respect and to be very, very respectful, and I don't feel very comfortable to make any comments on my bosses. The only thing I can say is that for 1 year and a few months of our professional relationship is good, and of course he tries to give the best conditions for us, and of course I try to give the best for myself and demand the best from everyone who works around me to make the club the most successful and better, but I don't feel comfortable to comment apart from to say that I have the utmost respect for him.
What else is he going to say?
He's his boss, isn't he? He's not going to say. He didn't say much about that.
He doesn't want to fear the wrath of Daniel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise he's getting a chop.
He says, do you want to look after Gareth Bale or just keep them or just keep the momentum going? He says, I want the momentum to keep going, but we have to manage him. The communication is very good. I believe he trusts me. I trust his experience and judgment and his knowledge of his body. And at the moment, we're deciding together what to do. The other day, during the match, I found Andre Mariner, the fourth official, laughing at us because he found my conversation with Gareth funny during the match. We were looking at each other, saying, how many more minutes? 5 more minutes or 10 more minutes? We were making the decision together, and Mariner was laughing at it. Gareth, the relationship is very good. He was playing well, and of course I like him to be on the pitch for 90 minutes of every match, but it's not possible. Judging by that answer, he says, I want momentum to keep going, but we have to manage him. Do you think he starts or plays any part on Thursday?
I think he will play some part. Personally, for me, I wouldn't start him. I would bring him on if we need a goal or something last half an hour, last 20 minutes, like I said, with the 5 subs and all that. But I love that. I really love that quote of how he's talking with Gareth Bale during the game. Like, Gareth, you want 10 more minutes, 20 more minutes? How much more juice can we get out of you? I mean,
after each was like 5 more, yeah, five more.
So Gareth's basically the manager now.
Another minute, another 60 seconds. Well, one more minute. That's what I keep
like
going.
A towel. See how much juice you can get.
Yeah,
out
literally. Of it. But at the moment, we're managing him very well. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think Lamela, in a weird way, I think he's earned the right to get a start in this game the way he's performed. So I wouldn't have any thoughts about not playing Lamela, because I think he's been great recently in the cameos he's had. So I think he deserves the chance. And look, obviously we have Bell and we have 5 subs and so I think, yeah, I agree. Just manage.
Let's be honest, even no disrespect to Dinamo Zagreb at all, because I know they're a good side. They're going really well this season, Europa League, and
unbeaten in the Europa League this season.
What?
They're unbeaten in Europa League this season.
Exactly. So in the Europa League, they've been really well, played some tough teams. They've also going amazingly in the Croatian League, obviously. But on the flip side, I still think this game is more than enough winnable with our second string side. Yeah. Even with a Vinicius, Deli, Lamela, Bergwijn, even with a Sissoko and Winks in the middle, I think this game is winnable.
Yeah, I agree. Would it be a disaster if Spurs lost to Dinamo Zagreb, and which of their players could play in the Premier League? He answered, first of all, thanks for the question, because it's the first question about Dinamo we've had. I'm here for Europa League match, but this is the first one you asked me a direct question directly to the game. I don't think at this level we can speak about underdogs. A team to be in a fight for the last 8 is of course a good team. So the underdog story doesn't fit in with the whole with how I think of knockout football. So for me, no underdogs. A very good team. They defend a lot and well. They are good in the counter attack and they have technical quality. They have physical. They have good physicality. They are a good team. They have experience. It's not the first time they are playing in Europe. They play in Europe every year. They played in the Champions League recently. They have international players from different countries. It is a big step up in relation to the previous challenges we've had before in the Europa League. The teams we have played before are in a completely different level to Dinamo. It is a difficult tie for us. They have good players. Can they play in the Premier League? Their agents will be very happy if I say yes, and they'll use my words to promote their players. So I'm not going to do that. He doesn't want to do the role of the agents there. Do you think that Dinamo Zagreb are a different level to what we've seen so far in the Europa League?
100%. Just look at their Europa League record this year. In their group they had Feyenoord, CSK Moscow and Wolfsberger, which obviously we know about Wolfsberger because we played them. Feyenoord, good side from Holland, and CSK Moscow, we've played them in the Champions League. So, yeah. I mean, they had a hard group, let's be honest, in terms of a Europa League group.
Yeah.
And they completely smashed it out with flying colours. They hardly conceded a goal. They conceded 1 goal in the whole group phase, and that was a 3-1 home win to CSK Moscow. So you've got to say that they are a completely different kettle of fish. They beat Feyenoord away.
What were their 2 results against Wolfsberger?
They beat Feyenoord away 2-0 at Wolfsberger. They beat them away 3-0 and beat them at home 1-0.
Okay, so 4-0 over 2 games, and sounds like it was pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
So yeah, sounds like, look, they're going to be a time. I know they're running away with the Croatian league, and they're not like loads of points ahead, but they are like 3 points ahead, maybe with a game in hand, something like that. So clearly, this is a different kettle of fish. So of the team, Wolfsburg were 5th in the Austrian league, so it's not. This is a different animal we're playing.
And in the group stages, like I mentioned, they scored 9 goals, let in 1.
So very tough team defensively. Yeah. If those kind of seems like they're not going to concede too many goals in this one.
In the first knockout round, they played Krasnodar, who are actually a good side. They beat them 3-2 away from home, and they beat them 1-0 at home. So look, they are a different kettle of fish to anyone we've played in the Europa League this year.
We can't take them lightly.
We can't take them lightly, but I still stand by my statement that we can beat them with these players.
Do you think it would be a disaster if Spurs lost the first leg?
Depends what the scoreline is. If it's like a 1-0 loss, then I fully back us to go out there with our full-strength team and beat them. But if we go there and if we lose like 2 or 3-0, then it could be.
Would you take, if I told you we would lose 2-0, but it means we're going to win the derby?
Ooh.
Or if I told you we would win 1-0, but we draw the derby?
Ooh. We beat Arsenal.
Beat Arsenal.
You
take the 2-0 loss.
Yeah.
Take the 2-0 loss.
And play Kane, play Son, play Ndombele in the second leg, and just try and go and beat him.
Just go and beat him. Yeah, you're probably right. I think I'd probably do that as well. With the attackers' displays recently, will you have to compose your team? I don't know what that. Maybe saying what kind of attackers are you going to go with? He said, "No, it's not difficult because we played an incredible number of matches already, more than 40. Hopefully, we have 15 or 16 or maybe even 20 more to play until the end of the season. We need to rotate all players as happening in the last match with Harry not playing 90 minutes. He played 80 minutes. Gareth Bell didn't play 90, he only played 60. Lamela played 30 minutes. Vinicius played 15 minutes. In this moment, without injuries and attacking areas, we have lots of options, and it doesn't matter who is on the pitch. We're speaking about quality players. The team is with good attacking dynamic. Dynamo defends very well. In many moments of the game, they're playing with a line of 6. They transform that line of 4 into a line of 6, and they have a low block and defend with a lot of people. When they recover the ball, they go very fast in the counter-attack with fast wingers and a striker that is good link-up player. They know what to do, and the coach has to be good. The players are good, and the opposition is good. So, I think it'll be interesting to see who we go for in attack. But I think at the moment, apart from maybe Bergwijn, all our attackers are in good form. So they got to be confident going into this match. They can make a difference in the final third. If especially players like Dele, Lamela, if they start the game, they should be confident enough to really be able to make an effect.
Let's be honest, an on-form Dele, an on-form whoever we play, let's talk about the players I said that will start, which, they might not start, but they're the fringe players. So let's talk about a Bergwijn, let's talk about an Ali, let's talk about a Lamela. If they play to their capabilities, they can break down the strongest of defences. So why can't they play this game?
Yeah, but with Zagreb in their line of 6, as he said, that's going to be difficult to break down.
Mm-hmm.
We have to make sure we're sharpest and we're on top of our game with the players on the pitch. That's why I feel like we're going to start with one of Son or Kane. I'm not 100% sure which one, but I have a feeling we will. Just because I feel like when a team is sitting so deep like that, you need your front man to have that extra bit of quality potentially. Maybe he'll trust Vinicius. I've just got a feeling he won't. I don't know why. I just got a feeling he won't trust him in this one. Andrea Agnelli's club Juventus were knocked out of the Champions League by Porto last night. With some of these reforms being touted, will these kind of upsets like you've been involved in before no longer be possible in the new format? He says, I've got nothing to say about it. It's the only thing I can say is what I always feel, an emotional connection with my past, and Porto is an important period of my past, and I'm always happy with my past is happy. So a big night for Porto, and I'm very happy for them.
I hope he's not happy for Chelsea when they win.
He probably, definitely not. They sacked him, didn't they? Porto didn't sack him. He says, another question, you have a strong relationship with Daniel Levy and the club have gone through difficult times with the pandemic after building the stadium. How nice would it be to mark his 20th year at the club with a trophy? He says, I would love to help. It's not me. I'd love to be part of a work that can deliver a trophy. I don't think it's fair sometimes for an owner, CEO, as an administrator of a club, the president, to be judged on trophies, because trophies they many times depend on others to deliver to do. I think there are many ways to look at working in football, and the work that has been done in this club, independent of trophies that the club didn't get in the past years. The work is undeniable. The club is a big club in many aspects, very, very well organised in many aspects, and that's incredible work from him as the big boss in here, but from the whole structure that works for him and with him. So I don't think sometimes it's fair to judge on trophies, but trophies are the salt and pepper of football, and I would love for him, but not just him, also for the players, the fans and everyone. I'd love to help for that to happen. I'm not a big guy on stats and this kind of thing, but my 1000th official match is going to arrive this season, and in a career where I've been lucky enough to win so many things, it would be nice for him to celebrate my 1000th official match, to celebrate winning a trophy for Tottenham. We're going to try, and let's see if it's possible. So that is pretty much all Mourinho had to say.
What do you make out of that quote about Daniel Levy saying that he doesn't think owners should be judged on trophies?
Yes and no. I think over isolated things, I don't think you can judge owners so much on trophies. For example, you can't. If we're in a final or something and we lose, and you can't just blame that on the chairman. But exactly, we've seen a pattern. It's now been 20 years, one trophy. That's a sustained pattern of period of time where you can say, he sufficiently helped the team build the team up into a way where we're challenging near the top of the league as opposed to mid-table, which is a good achievement, and consistently getting us a Champions League for the past few years, which was a good achievement as well. But has he taken the necessary risks you need to when you're a chairman at certain times where we've really need the extra push to really get over the line, or really push for a title, or really push for a trophy? Has he done what's probably been needed or required at those moments to really take us to the next level? Probably not. And that's been borne out in every time we get close, we'd never take that extra push. And that's been the biggest problem when we're competing. But I think overall, in the bigger picture, he's done a great job building the club up. And he's done a great job improving the standard, the quality of football. But has he done a great job in terms of actually winning things and actually competing at the very real becoming favourites for things? We haven't been able to do that.
I think it's all about providing your managers with the best chance available to achieve what they want to achieve. And I think at times he hasn't done that.
I think we've had to overachieve. That's the thing. We've had to overachieve, always to get to where we are.
Pochettino was constantly overachieving with, at times he had a good starting 11 but an average squad. And he hasn't given... I don't think he gave kind of Pochettino the tools to actually flourish at the top of the league, consistently winning year after year trophies.
That's the thing I've always said with Levy. If you gave Levy an option, would you rather spend 15 million on a guy who could maybe turn out to be great and overachieve, or would you rather spend 40 million or 50 million on someone and then become the favourites for that competition? And he would always go with the former. He would always go with someone who's cheaper, who is more likely to have potential, and then see if you can overachieve in that situation, rather than someone who could really could really take to the next level. But I think, look, he deserves credit. I think Levy deserves credit for how he's built the club up, for sure. And I think he doesn't get enough credit from some sections of the support for what he's done for the club. But we share the frustration and the criticism for not being able to take us from the next level up, which is what has always been the annoyance with a bit of risk that needs to be taken.
You're completely right in terms of isolated situations like the Champions League final, Sissoko handball. What can he do about that? All the semi-finals that we went to under Poch, the final as well in his first year in the Carabao Cup. Son playing left back, giving away that penalty in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Yes, I mean, he can't do anything about those particular isolated incidents, but it all stems from before that, of him not giving the manager the tools he needs to kick on.
Exactly.
So maybe it does go to him.
I think from a wider picture, with one trophy in 20 years, you've got to look at the chairman. But yeah, I completely agree. But you can't say isolated things. This semi-final was his fault. That is it's very difficult to say that or make a case for that, because it all falls down to the footballing side of things, which he hires people to do. But I think, as an overall narrative for his time in charge, I think he's got to take a lot of responsibility for the fact we haven't won many trophies. But then he would argue before that we weren't exactly swimming in trophies either, for the 10 decade before he took over. So it wasn't exactly an easy situation to come into. But could we be sitting here with more than one trophy after his 20 years in charge? We probably should be. We probably should be.
Most definitely should be.
We definitely should be, and he has to take responsibility for that. But yeah, I think if you're rating him out of 10 in his, I guess it's difficult to rate because there's two different sides to it. There's the non-footballing side and the footballing side. If you're saying the footballing side, he's probably maybe a 7. 6 or 7? 7 probably. I think because he's built us up to where we were. I mean, from a footballing point of view.
Look at where we were before he took over. Less than mid-table mediocrity. Nowhere near our rivals. Any of our rivals couldn't even think about Champions League football. Never mind fighting for the Premier League. Couldn't even think about even UEFA Cup. We couldn't get into at that time. When we got into the UEFA Cup,
it was a massive thing. Yeah,
under Martin Jol, it was massive for us. And now the kind of supporter base, the fan base at Tottenham take Europa League for granted because we've been in it, Champions League for so many
10-year
years.
decade, pretty much.
And you got to give credit to Daniel Levy for the way he built up the club and got us into the Champions League proper, made us a Champions League side, made us. Well, it wasn't him only, but he was a big part of it and kind of, stamped our authority over Arsenal. We haven't finished below Arsenal for the past 5 years. So in terms of that, then you've got to give him a lot of credit. But then it just boils down to the trophies, doesn't it? And how we haven't won any trophies. I mean, if we would have won that Champions League final, no one could say anything.
Yeah, and I think always big moments in the transfer market when we've really needed something, or we've needed certain specific things or specific players, and more often than not he just didn't deliver on what we've needed and what the manager needed, and he's always gone for the cheaper option.
We can call out moments under every single manager under his tenure.
Yeah, and that ultimately, as much as it's improved us, it's also cost us at the same time. But it's hard to criticise because we're criticising because we're only criticising him because he built us up to such a way that once he overachieved, he then started underachieving, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he didn't have the kind of mettle to kick on from where he was.
Yeah, he never wanted to put any risk in terms of what we can achieve, and he'd rather just be stable and just stay here instead of actually pushing the boat out a bit.
A lot of it is down to him being burnt every time he did try and take risk.
That's true.
Look at all these players he signed. So the first one was Sergei Rebel. Was he under Sergei Rebrov?
Believe so.
So Sergei Rebel was a big one. 11 million in that time was a lot of money.
A lot of money.
He got burnt by that. Later down the line, Helder Postiga got burnt by that. He was a big signing at the time.
Darren Bent spent big money on him.
Exactly. Darren Bent, Soldado, Vincent Janssen. There are so many of them. And actually, the players that we've seen more success with, in a whole, is the players that we've got by penny pinching and with a lot less money.
Yeah, it's true. So there's always context to everything, and it's interesting to reveal that, to discuss that context. But when people say the board is, we've said before this on this show that the board is the biggest problem in preventing us from really competing at the top level. How do you square that with what the context of his tenure is? Do you think the board are the biggest problem?
It's a difficult one because who knows if we would be in this situation without the board. We don't know where we would be. We were going nowhere under Alan Sugar, let's be honest. And it's hard to say where kind of we would be without the board. I think that the board had a lot of say in where we are right now as a club. This brand new stadium, bringing us to one of the elite clubs in terms of money in the world, in world football at the moment. And you've got to say that's a lot down to the work of Daniel Levy and his team at ENIC. So, they've done a lot of good work at the club, but they've also let us down quite a lot of times as well. So it's hard to level it up.
Yeah, it's just, you'd say they're the biggest reason why we're competing at the top, but they're also the biggest reason why we haven't taken the next step. So
exactly.
It's just interesting. And we'll get people's opinions on that. Just a few more quotes from Davinson Sanchez, and we'll get you guys on. Sanchez was asked basically about, I'm not sure the question, but he basically said you have to try and be focused on one competition, and we have some players having problems with injuries who are back. We're back and enjoying ourselves, so he seems happy with that. He was then also commenting on if he considered, did he consider leaving Spurs in January? He was asked, and he said, never. I never considered leaving the club. Football can give you the chance to bounce back in situations, and that's what's happened. I never said I had to play because I was before. Just be humble in that moment. So I guess it's good that he decided to stay and fight for his place. And
it's good he's not coming out saying like Eric Dyer,
saying I'm happy with my performance. Yeah, that's definitely true. And he definitely realised that he had to improve. And we've definitely seen a lot of improvement recently from Davinson, so that's fair enough.
Got a super chat here from Danny Kirikau. He says, Levy helped us rise, also halted us in the key moments.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
That's completely spot on.
That's definitely true. On the international break and South American games being cancelled, he said, for me, many players, the national team means a lot, and more so when you're competing for qualification. It's not like we would be in a problem for the club. In that moment, they were talking about it and facing the problem. After, it could be a problem because I don't think we have the time. We'll see if we can finish the qualification. And then he was asked, has Mourinho developed the Spurs players as a coach? And he said, of course. Everyone knows for us in this moment when he came, we were very, very open with him as he was with us. The influence he has on us is a lot because he's been involved in football for a long time with experience in the Europa League and the domestic competitions with the Carabao and the FA Cup. He is taking our best to give him. And he has done with us. So some positive things Sanchez saying about Mourinho in the press conference. But yeah, that's all pretty much we have have to say about that for the time being. So some interesting stuff being said. I want to get people's opinions on Daniel Levy, having marking 20 years in his career as Spurs chairman. I want to get their opinions on Daniel Levy. I also want to get their opinions on the kind of lineup they expect us to play on Thursday, and what people's thoughts are. So I'm excited to get fans' opinions.
All right, and let me just let you know how this works in case you don't know. So the link is now in the community section if you want to come and join the conversation. You don't need to be a gold member. You don't need to be any member. This is open to all of you out there. So if you want to get involved in the conversation, do go to your community section, click that link, and then our lovely guys, John and Frank at the back end will let you in, and we'll have a nice conversation. We'll talk about Daniel Levy, talk about the upcoming game on Thursday. And yeah, let's get straight into it. I believe Jack is up first.
Big up, Jack.
Hey guys.
Jack, how's it going, mate?
Hey, Jack, you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Not bad.
Yeah, cool. All right, so the game on Thursday, big game, last 16 against Dinamo Zagreb. You've heard what Mourinho's had to say before the game. I want to know from you, what kind of lineup do you expect in this game? Do you expect the awesome foursome of Lucas and Bale and Son and Kane? Do you expect a few people to be rested? What's your thoughts?
I kind of agreed with what you guys were saying earlier. I feel like I would possibly leave out maybe Son and Kane and really focus on the game against the Scummers and make sure that we win that. Even if, like you said, I kind of agreed with you, Ben, where I would probably take a loss to Dinamo over a loss to the Scummers. So for me, it's really, I think we should still go with kind of a strong lineup, maybe Vinicius, Lamela, Lucas, Dele, or something on that regard. Maybe also keep Bale in the lineup and take him out after 60 minutes or something like that. But I agreed with you guys, what you were saying earlier. I don't think we should go full guns blazing. I think we should have Kane and Son on the bench just in case maybe it goes haywire, but I really doubt it will.
Jack, I know you watch a lot of football around Europe and stuff. Have you seen much of Dinamo play?
I'm a big fan of the Yugoslavians, and I'm a big fan of Croatians and Slovenians and Montenegrins and all of them. But in terms of Dinamo Zagreb, I know they have at least 3 players that I looked up that are above 10 goals this season, which is significant. And like you guys were saying, they're undefeated in the Europa League, and they haven't lost a lot of games in general this season. So they're quite used to winning, and they also have a pretty remarkable number of clean sheets, which shows that they actually have some pretty decent defenders. They have, I think his name is Gravanovic and Petkovic are kind of their 2 big men up front that I believe have scored a lot of goals. And then they have that, I think you guys have probably heard of him, that famous kind of veteran Mislav Orsic. So he's scored, I think, in very big games for them in either the Champions League or the Europa League. So we could expect him to possibly be on the score sheet. I think he's probably their biggest threat because I think he kind of shows up and no matter what competition it is. In regards to the rest of their form, they seem to be playing really well this season and they haven't lost a lot of games. So that's all I can say is the Croatians definitely are a lot more technical than maybe other countries. They definitely produce very technically sound players and always produce really young players. So who knows? There might even be a really good young player on the pitch that we haven't heard of.
Yes.
And in terms of kind of other Europa League opponents this season, how much harder will this tie be?
It's still one of the more favorable ties, I think, of all the possible ties that we could have received. But at the end of the day, you still could look at it as this is also kind of an unknown team. These teams we can't really have much scouting on. We don't know. Like I said earlier, there could be some wonder kid on Dinamo Zagreb that we've never heard of before that might tear us apart. And so I think it's only time will tell. But like I said, I think it's still one of the more favorable fixtures, regardless of how scary I might have made them seem to be.
Well, they have unearthed some gems over the past. Luka Modric came there. I think Eduardo did Eduardo come from there as well? Eduardo da Silva, because he was a bloody good finisher.
Recently.
Dani Olmo from Leipzig,
well. So they've produced some good players in the past, haven't they?
They have.
Yeah. And like I said, the Croatians also will have, I think Petkovic is a really large, I think he's like 6'3" or more or something up top. He's pretty technically sound from what I saw of some goal highlights. And, you know, they'll definitely just be a more technically sound team than Wolfsberger. And at least in defense, they have a lot of clean sheets, like I said earlier. So I think they're not going to give such kind of, I don't know, howler of goals as kind of Wolfsberger did against us.
Sure.
So what kind of, obviously the bigger the win the better in this game, but what is kind of like an acceptable result going to the second leg with Arsenal coming up? Is like, if I told you we'd win 2-1 in this game, like, is that something like you think that's a good result, or do you think that leaves us too open in the second leg?
2-1 can be very realistic. I mean, like, they're a good team, and I think we'll only see how good they really are once they really show up on the pitch. And depending on the lineup that we play, I think especially defensively, depends on the lineup. And I think what might be more important is keeping maybe one of our stronger fullbacks, either Aurier or Region, just to keep Dinamo honest. So we can, at least when we have lots of possession, in case we have lots of possession in this game, it'd be great to have a fullback that really knows how to push up high and keep their fullback and their counterattacks honest, so that we can keep a little bit more pressure on them. I think what would be scary for us is if Dinamo have just as much of the ball as us, because I think they have some players, at least from their score sheets, that have clearly put the ball in the back of the net a few times this season. So I think they're just going to be pretty clinical when they get the chance. And if we can keep lots of possession and keep similar possession to that of the Crystal Palace game, I could see us being really strong.
I hope you're right. In terms of what we were speaking about before, it's been 20 years since Daniel Levy has first became chairman of Tottenham Hotspur. Obviously, from us in the UK, who obviously are match-going fans, we go week in, week out, and we're season ticket holders. We might have one perception because we're paying big money each season for season tickets, and when we see Daniel Levy maybe not going all out on the transfer market to really push out for a player, we get frustrated with that because the prices are quite high, and that can maybe give us one perception. But as a fan, in the US, who I don't know how many games you've been to in your life. I assume probably not many or any. Who's followed Tottenham from afar, what's your outsider, not outsider, but out of the UK kind of thoughts on the chairman?
It's difficult because I'm not as much of a veteran or knowledgeable or as maybe savvy supporters as you guys are, or maybe other people like here and Brian in the chat. So I'm quite ill-informed in the fact that all I know is technically Daniel Levy. So that's kind of the only person that I've had experience with as a fan. What I can say is it is quite shocking that he hasn't come up with a trophy, but the way that I've experienced it in the limited time that I've had as a Spurs fan, which is well under a decade, I think I just went over 6 years now. So all I can say is that it's been always a very upward trend. He's almost, like you guys have said in the past, it is kind of like he's run it in a very business-like sense, where if you looked at it on a business spreadsheet or on a logistics report, it looks really great. But as a fan, you're actually quite disappointed with the fact that you see this huge upward trend, but there's nothing really in solid silverware to show for it. So it's a difficult way to look at it. All I know is that I kind of picked Tottenham because they didn't have a lot of trophies, and because maybe I could be witness to the trophies that were to come during my fandom. So maybe I've been waiting now a little bit long, but compared to a lot of the other seasoned, veteran, knowledgeable supporters, I don't think I've waited nearly as long as they have. And so I can't really speak about Levy with much hate or malice, but all I can say is he's definitely taken the club on a huge upward trend. But at the same time, it is quite perplexing that he hasn't come out with any silverware. And I think maybe the main reason for that is he didn't back the managers when they needed it most, such as the example of Pochettino, when Pochettino took kind of a rag-shag team to a Champions League final, and he still didn't give them any support after that, which I think is probably his biggest mistake he could look back upon.
Yeah. Do you think maybe, though, he maybe sacrificed short-term gains for long-term stability, and maybe in the long term, with when we have the stadium up and running fully with a full crowd in, week out, that maybe when we get to that stage, obviously the pandemic's hit us, but maybe we could start pushing the boat out a bit for transfers, and maybe we'll look back at this period as just a lull in trophies, and maybe that will come later on.
I mean, the one thing you got to give him credit for is he is very financially smart and financially sound. He does make, in a sense, transfers have always been somewhat speculative, but he's also made great transfers. But at least as a business, he's run it quite well. And I think that was the reason why he built basically the best stadium in all of the UK, for there to be a sold-out stadium, for there to be a place so that Spurs fans could grow. And also with a lot of people don't recognize, but actually the power of certain players, given their celebrity status on this team, is actually different than other teams. If you think about how famous Heung-min Son is, or Son Heung-min is outside of the UK, he's practically the biggest celebrity we have on the team. Almost maybe one could argue probably a much bigger shirt seller than Harry Kane. And so you could think about it as he's made a lot of smart purchases in the past that help actually fans come to the stadium from around the world. And that's actually a very smart manner of business. As we know, Manchester United, Real Madrid, FC Barcelona, they're trying to campaign in China and all these Asian countries that they know where there are a lot of untapped fans. But he's actually done it in quite a clever way. It's kind of a random rant, but I've always thought it was quite clever the way that he purchased Heung-min Son in kind of his early development of his career and has kind of made him almost a club legend at this place.
Sorry about that, guys. Just crashed for a second, but we are back. Is Jack still there in the back end?
Yeah, we'll see. I would say, all right.
Hi, hey. Jack. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, you can carry on what you're saying. Can you just fiddle with this? Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, he was saying how smart it was that we signed Son in his infancy.
I'll finish it.
It's not even just Son as well. We signed the top South Korean women's player as well just now.
We did.
I was going to mention that as well. Yeah, and it's quite savvy business that I don't think a lot of people have noticed.
Yeah,
all right.
No, I completely agree.
Quick prediction though, Thursday, Jack.
I might go for just 2-0. I think they actually have a pretty strong, resolute defense. I don't see us playing our strongest attacking lineup, so I could see us going 2-0. I think Steven Bergwijn will start, and I think he'll be full of energy, and maybe he'll score the long-awaited goal in some shape or form. So I'm going to go 2-0, and then I think we're really going to prioritize, though, with our lineup at least, the game on Sunday.
All right, Jack. Absolute pleasure as always, and we'll see you again soon.
See you in a bit.
All right, you as well. Thanks.
It's quite interesting. When we were talking about the players that have come through Dinamo Zagreb, I just done a quick search to see who actually else has come through. There's been a lot of players, man.
A lot of good players.
A lot of players. Luka Modric, Milan Badej, Vedran Chorluka, Eduardo, Dejan Lovren, Mateo Kovacic, Mario Mandzukic, Nico Kranjčar, Marko Pjaka from Juventus, Andrej Kramaric, Versace, the right back from Atletico. Brozovic, Tin Jedvaj, whatever his name is. Boban as well, that massive Croatian.
Bosko Boban.
Zvivor Boban. Robert Prozinecki, you know what I mean? There's some. Dani Olmo.
What was that? Halilovic I saw.
I haven't seen him here.
Halilovic, yeah. I think he's Dinamo Zagreb as well.
But you know what I mean? Some top players there.
And looks like they're creating another good team now.
Oh, yeah, Halilovic there, yeah. Mario Musa. You know, there's a lot of good players there. But anyway, I just
impressive academy.
Yeah,
very impressive. So can't write them off, can we? And we know Croatia. They love we've upset the English in the past, haven't they? They've upset us in the past. So we need to make sure we don't underestimate them. But let's get Brian on.
All right, Brian. Come on, Brian. How's it going, mate?
All good, lad. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Very good, thanks. Obviously, a bit more calm now. 3 wins on the bounce. Coming into this big Europa League game, last 16. How are you feeling coming into this one?
I'm feeling very, very confident. The hair's still growing, as you can see, so I haven't shaved it yet, so it's still growing, so it's all good. I think we've got to play Kane and Son for the first half. Just finish the tie in the first half and then take them off. We just need to get this game done and then just concentrate on the filth.
But then the problem, if we play Kane and Son first half and we haven't killed them off in the first half and it's 0-0 or even we're losing 1-0 at half time, then you've kind of backed yourself into a corner, haven't you? Because you have to keep them on. You can't take him off
Or
at 1-0 down.
Or you bring on the top scorer in the Europa League in Vinicius. And I'll tell you what, Dane Scarlett, I want him to get more game time in because he is phenomenal.
I mean, is it if we play Dane Scarlett in this kind of game, is that not risk of underestimating your opponent?
I really don't think so with this kid. This kid, do you remember like when Michael Owen made his debut and scored in his first couple of minutes against Wimbledon?
Yeah.
When you've got a kid with this much talent, you've got to just put him in, and he has got it all.
Yeah, I agree with you that he's got it all. I've been very impressed with Dane Scarlett as well, but I just feel that it might, just because he hasn't played much, I think it might just be a tad disrespectful to start him in this one.
You know what it is, Ben Simeon? It's only because who we've got on Sunday. If it had been any other team, I would have said just go full strength or whatever you want to do, Jose. But it's the big game on Sunday, and that's the one we just have to win. We have to win that game on Sunday. That's more important to me than the first leg.
So why not have Kane and Son on the bench and then bring him on if things are going sour? Why start them?
Okay, we're doing that way, Simeon. Either way, either way, you could be my assistant manager, Simeon.
All right. And what are we doing about Bale? Are we managing him?
You know what? Bale is the one you've got to be careful because it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's like, do you play him because he's on fire and you want to keep that going, or do you rest him and make sure he stays fit? Gareth Bale is such a hard one. I wouldn't know. I'll pass it over to you, Simeon, my assistant manager. What would you do? I
think Lamella's been in good enough form where I think wouldn't have a worry about starting him. I don't think you start Lamella and I'm thinking I'm resting anyone. I'm thinking I'm just giving another opportunity to someone who deserves it in that sense. So I think Lamella deserves it. Good call, right?
Toby has to get a rest. That's for sure.
Yeah, Toby and Højbjerg, I think, are the two that really need to sit out this one.
Big time. Big time.
But Brian, you're celebrating 20 years as chairman of Tottenham.
I ain't celebrating nothing.
You're celebrating
a goddamn thing.
Tell me what your thoughts on his 20 years in charge at Spurs.
Do you know what? When I heard you were doing this bit, I was getting so excited because I can't stand the man. I cannot stand him. Don't get me wrong. He is brilliant on the business side. Absolutely phenomenal. The best in the world. But you don't see all the managers we've had going into Daniel Levy's conferences and saying, oh, wait, I reckon our business rates. They don't do it. They don't put out pie charts and do PowerPoints to say how they can make Tottenham a better business because they don't know. The management I cannot. I'll give you a prime example. When we left the stadium to go to Wembley, and he said it's going to take 1 year. Now everyone in the UK or the world knows that stadium weren't going to get built in a year. So why didn't you just say 2 years? And then if you got it built in a year, you look like a bloody hero.
Yeah.
He's pathetic. Even the best signing we made years ago was Paul Mitchell with Poch. And that's when the transfers were good. And why did he leave? I could, believe me, I could go on for 3 hours with this man. I cannot stand him.
Would you acknowledge from a footballing side we're a different level to where we were when he took over, though?
No, don't get me wrong. He has done some good things, and I won't take bad for it. But the thing is, every single time, if he's so good in business, sometimes you've got to speculate to accumulate. And if I could say to you, these players we could have had in our spine this season, Skriniar, Grealish, Fernandes, Dybala, all genuine bids got in, and he has to play Levy poker rather than just go, what do you want? Here you go. Oh, I'm getting so wound up with this. I'll give you another. The best example I love doing is the day we signed Lucas Moura. He arrived the day before the deadline and was in Tottenham the day before the deadline. But on the deadline day, Aubameyang signed from Dortmund to Arsenal. Giroud went from Arsenal to Chelsea. And then Batshuayi went from Chelsea to Dortmund before Lucas Moura had signed his contract.
Yeah, it's true. But surely you have to give him credit for where he's taken the club over to where we are now.
Like I said, the training ground, the business side of the business model and the branding and getting it out there, and like Jack said, with the clever signings of Son and everything, those have been very, very good. But we have been so close so many times. Like the Harry Redknapp, the start of Martin Jol, obviously Pochettino, and hopefully with Jose, where he says, I want a player, and he just doesn't get it. He probably gives him a shopping list, goes, here you go, Daniel, here's my top targets. I might as well give my cat a Sudoku and ask him to fill that out because it's just as pointless.
But also there's something to say about actually getting to that situation, and surely he's very culpable for us going from, you know, relegation or mid-table fodder to where we are now. You know, when you were growing up, could you ever have dreamed of Spurs being in a Champions League final?
When I was growing up and watching the mighty Gaza, who is the greatest player I've ever seen, I didn't even know what the Champions League was. I don't even think it was a thinger to start off with.
It was a European Cup.
No, I mean, like I said, getting where we have got is great, but as Spurs fans, we shouldn't get settled for this. We've had chances to be Premiership title challengers, and with a couple of extra signings, like when we got Nelson and Zaha instead of Cahill and Tevez, those signings would have made a huge difference, and that's what we've got to start doing, and start going for the. Instead of buying potential, we need to buy the real deal, and he doesn't do it.
What do you rate him out of 10 with his time as a chairman? What would you be your rating?
Oh, why are you asking me this? Why? Oh, Jesus.
It makes for a good content, that's why.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, on the business side, 10. Don't get me wrong. On the business side, 10. On the footballing side, 0.
0?
0.
I don't understand
No,
how you can say 0.
I just because, like I said, Pochettino got us where we got to. He didn't get back by Levy. The players that I mentioned before that we could have had, but he doesn't put the bids in, we should not be accepting a title running. We should, with the money that we're now making and the players we could have got, we should have had a Premier League title, and we haven't. Or a trophy, any trophy, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Carling Cup, Simmons Cup, whatever it's been called over the years. I just believe. I'm going to raise it to a 2.
2 out of 10 for a footballing side.
Look at the playing squad we had when he took over. Now look at the playing squad now.
Yeah, but that's so. A lot of these players are coming from Mourinho. A lot of these players came from Pochettino. And like I said, when we could have, if I said to you those players that I just mentioned, Skriniar, Grealish, Fernandes, Dybala, where would we be right now?
But what would you say to the fact?
Top 4 is a possibility.
Yeah, but that's why if we had those players, Daniel Levy's football tenure at Spurs will probably be a 10 out of 10, and we will have all these trophies. But where he's taken us from to where we are now, surely you've got to be thinking of maybe a 6 or a 7 at least.
I can't. I physically won't go above a 5.
5
I just
now.
can't do it.
But what about the fact?
It's gone from 0 to 5, so it's somewhere.
No. I'm staying at 2, but I can't go over the halfway mark if I was to go up anymore. No way.
But what about the fact that he spent big on players before, and it has kind of burnt him, and maybe he's kind of maybe not wanted to do that again because of those times he's been burnt. For example, Darren Bent and Soldado and Rebrov, and times where he has pushed the boat out, but it's kind of burnt him.
So when we talk about Soldado, when we bought him, he had scored 20 plus goals in the league 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
And he played in a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
With a big man supporting him. Then he comes to Tottenham and he says, well, I know you play in a 4-4-2 and that's how you scored 20 goals, but we're going to play you up front by yourself and we're going to have midfield. He doesn't play that game. Don't get me wrong, the deal didn't work out, but we played a striker in a position, like we're saying with Doherty. Soldado was used to playing in a 2 and then you go play in a 1.
Yeah, but is that the chairman's fault or the manager's fault?
Well, it depends who put. Well, you got to look with the Bow money when Villas-Boas said that I didn't spend the money on the players I wanted. So that was Baldini and Levy.
Yeah.
And you say like Darren Bent. Darren Bent has scored a good few goals in the Premier League for Ipswich, Charlton, whatever. But imagine Dybala would have teared this up. Dybala would have been a sensation.
He would have.
Proven.
He would have. But you know,
he was a big fish in a big pond.
He was, yeah. No, you're right there. But you know, there's no guarantees in football at the end of the day, and there's a lot of players that we've signed for big money that haven't worked out. It's not just the Soldazos, the Janssens, the Rebrovs, the Postigas. You know what I mean? Over the years, we spent.
Janssen wasn't big money, Ben. Janssen was like 20 million. It's like Liverpool. I need a goalie. I need a defender. Here's 80 million. Here's 75 million. Look what happens. I'm not saying we should spend 75 million, 80 million, but they're like, they don't. They go, how much do you want? Okay, here you go, bye, and they sign the next day.
Well, I believe we were in talks to sign Morata at that time, and he decided not to come because of Harry Kane.
Yeah.
So it was very tough to get a striker at that time who wanted to play backup second fiddle who was good enough to be part of the team, but also happy, at a certain level that he's happy to be on the bench. It was finding that right balance, and we thought we'd found it with someone like Janssen, who was young and up and coming, and we spent a fair bit of money on him, even for those standards, but it kind of flopped.
Look,
but once again, that's potential, not the finished article. And before I go any further, Joe Lewis doesn't get away scot-free here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's worth about £5 billion. Chuck a bit of money into the club. For God's sake, you're 80 odds. You're not going to be around much longer. Spend it on Tottenham.
I completely agree, and kind of I can see where you're coming from. 100%. I agree with a lot of your points, but I think there is still something to be said about him doing a good job on the pitch as well, because I think that a lot of Spurs fans, you're talking about the trophies that we won under Daniel Levy, 2 Carabao Cups, which is not enough.
One Carabao Cup.
One Carabao Cup, one Carabao Cup, which is not enough, nowhere near enough. But you also got to look at the good things he's done on the pitch, never mind off the pitch as well. Because I think there's good and bad with Daniel Levy and ENIC. It's not all bad in terms of on the pitch. And I think a lot of fans forget that.
I just literally, but like I said, we've had some great times. But like I said, we've had times with the Pochettino team. Strengthen that team that got to the second in the league.
I completely agree with you. These
are the times that matter. You strengthen when you're at your strongest, and we just don't do it.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree. But it doesn't mean that he's done a bad job. Overall.
You're not going to get me. You can talk to me till you're blue in the face, boys. I ain't going to change my mind. I cannot stand him.
All right.
But also, is there not a question? Be careful what you wish for as well, because what do you want when if ENIC was to sell the club? Like, you could get someone that puts in even less money.
Of course, you could get Mike Ashley or someone like that. But the way football's going, you don't know. But literally, 20 years, no trophies or one trophy, and that was what 13 years ago.
But what if he's sacrificing short-term success for long-term stability?
But how long is he going to keep saying that for, Simeon? We've had this all the time.
Well, I know, but we now have the stadium, and maybe if after maybe with a few years of it being full and raking the money, and maybe we can start pushing the boat out a bit. Well,
I'll tell you what. This time next season, Simeon, we'll do another talk, and I'll give you another review.
It probably won't be this time next season because of the pandemic and everything. He probably has another excuse to shut up shop. But I'm saying in the long term, this stadium is going to be with us forever. This isn't just a stadium for 10 years. This is a stadium for life. So,
of course.
So this is something that is he's preparing for the long term. Potentially, and it takes time, these things, and although we should have pushed the boat out a bit earlier in terms of when we have had opportunities to really push out for a league title or something, and I completely agree with that. I think we've had opportunities to really push on and really go for it and become favourites in things instead of just being underdogs all the time and having potential. But we are in a position now where whoever takes us over or whatever happens from now onwards, we're in a very, very stable position financially, and hopefully I'm hoping that it puts us in a position to push the boat out for money and make signings. But I think at the moment I'm frustrated as anyone from what's happened in the past 20 years in terms of transfers and in terms of how really pushing on for big trophies. That hasn't happened, but I still believe maybe in the long-term vision of this club. You still
believe maybe? Kind of, yeah, maybe. That's the story with Daniel Levy.
But it's also not only down to Daniel Levy and ENIC why we haven't won trophies, because our team in the last 5-6 years have been good enough to win trophies. Let's be honest. The team's been good enough.
No, you're right.
But they haven't.
You're right. On that part, Ben, you're bang on the money. Some of the players have got to take some responsibility.
And the managers.
Of course. And the managers. But we've just literally, if we just tweaked a few times, I don't think we'd be having this conversation.
Yeah.
All right. Brian, scoreline prediction on the week tomorrow?
I'm going to go 3-0 us.
3-0.
3-0.
Come on,
All
Brian.
3-0
Absolutely
up, and then
brilliant.
just fingers crossed I'm speaking to you on Sunday in a very positive mood.
Brian, are we going to win
Hope so as
trophies
well.
this year?
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. I don't want to tempt it. I think we will. I think we're going to win Europa because it's literally, you got to remember as well, Jose has been in it twice and won it twice, and him and his ego wants to keep that 100% record. So that's a big factor in it. But yeah, I think Europa's the one we're going to win.
Does the Europa League take Levy above a 5?
No. That's not him.
That's not him.
That's the manager. It'll take Jose up further in the 1 out of 10 rating, but Levy, no.
So tell me this: why, when every manager fails to win a trophy, it's Levy's fault, but when managers win a trophy, it's also not Levy's fault, or it's not Levy's
but when
fault?
when you look at it, every manager has got a story to tell about Daniel Levy and how he's fucked them with transfers.
Correct.
Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally it's just a stuck record.
So why
how many excuses do you want?
Why did why did Jesus Perez come out today and say that Pochettino and Daniel Levy still very close friends and they'll definitely be back at Tottenham one day?
Well, mate, let's hope that does happen someday in the future. But the one thing I will say about that, last season he was saying to Poch that he kept offering Poch players, but Poch kept saying no. But as I said, with the Gareth Bale money, AVB just got given players and say, here you go, that he didn't want. So you can't have your cake and eat it both ways.
I agree. All right, Brian, thanks a lot for coming on, man. It was a good chat.
Always a pleasure, guys. Speak to you soon.
See you later.
Nice one, Brian.
Well, that went on a bit of a tangent about Levy, didn't it, that one?
Well, it's 20 years. This is what, we're asking. This is what we're asking. Deck W says the North London derby will not give us a trophy, but the Europa gives us hope for a trophy. Europa is very important. I mean, I agree with that. But I also think that it keeps up momentum and it keeps up good feelings if we get that I think a defeat in the North London derby. I just fear that could have a real negative effect on us in terms of confidence wise. So I think in terms of the Zagreb game, even if we lose that, at least we know we have a second leg and we won't be too downhearted. But if we do lose that in North London derby, it has big ramifications for our league finish and also just confidence wise, it will be really bad. So that's why I rate it a bit higher.
Completely agree. We've got 560 viewers, only 230 likes. So please go down, smash that like, smash that subscribe button whilst let's go and get Cody on.
Cody.
Hi,
hey
Cody.
guys,
how's it going, mate?
Can
you switch your phone round to a landscape?
Yeah, we can try that. Just a sec here.
There we
go. Much better.
You had it. No, you didn't have it again.
I'm not sure.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
there
much better.
Oh, no, you don't have it again.
No, you just.
I'll do it this way. How's that?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Cody,
good.
Are you first time caller to the show?
I am.
Yeah,
and
welcome.
I just want to start off by saying how much I love the show, guys. I haven't been a Spurs fan for that long. Haven't been following it that closely, maybe 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And just even in the last 12 months, with the pandemic and everything, the way that your channel has grown and the additional content you guys have been putting out, it's just really eased some of the strains that we've had to deal with here. So cheers, guys, for all that.
Oh, appreciate that.
Really happy
Glad to hear that.
Really happy. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Canada. I'm in Muskoka, so cottage country in Ontario. I'll give you a little view here of what we're dealing with. You think English weather is bad?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of snow. That's cold. That is,
it's actually quite nice today.
It's a nice sun.
I'm at home with the youngest Spurs fan here.
I can tell. Hello, Beatrice.
So,
Love it.
yeah.
All right. So talk to me about your thoughts coming into the game on Thursday.
Is he gone? Oh, I think he might have crashed. We'll try and get Cody back on because that was quite... it's unfortunate.
We'll see if we
try
can
and get
him back on. Let's get someone else on. Who else?
Try and get someone else in the meantime.
Who's back? Queued up? Charlie.
Let's get Charlie on. There you go.
Yes,
hey,
Charlie. How's it going, mate?
Hello. Yeah, good, guys. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good, mate. I'm sure you've been hearing all the chat we had with Brian about Daniel Levy. I just wanted to get your take on it.
Yeah, so yeah, do you want to start with the Zagreb game, or do you want me to get straight into that?
Yeah, let's get straight into Levy because I know we might go on a tangent, then we'll get into the Zagreb game.
All right, yeah. So look, of course, 20 years. What can I say, really? I think he's not, in terms of Levy isolated, he's not the biggest problem for me. The biggest problem is the board as a whole. I think you have to look at ENIC as a whole, not just one man. I think, yes, he does have a lot of responsibility because of, as I said, 20 years, one League Cup. It's not good enough. It's really not good enough. Like, they took over a few years before I was born. I think it was only a couple of years before I was born. So in my lifetime, we've only won one League Cup, which for me was that's just pathetic. It really is. Considering if you look at before this board, we were actually winning quite a few trophies. If you look at it, obviously not under Sugar and stuff, but you go back further, like '84 and everything, and those days. So
in the decade before Levy, I think we'd won one trophy or two trophies.
We won in '99. We won in '91.
So the decade before we'd won two trophies.
Yeah, still more. It's still more, to be honest.
It is.
But yeah. You have to look at the board as a whole. They've been here 20 years, and obviously Levy is part of the board. And I think you look at Joe Lewis, the guys, as Brian was saying, the guy's worth £4 billion. He's put zero into it. Just to put it into context, me, Ben, Sim, David, who's in the chat as well, have put more money into Tottenham than Joe Lewis has. And that's just simple facts. It really is. We've put more money as fans into the club by buying merchandise and season tickets, whatever you want to do. We put more money into it than Joe Lewis, and I think for me that's wrong, because if you're an owner of a football club, you should be being more involved. You should make it an investment for yourself. Like, you've bought the club, you should be looking to invest and try and make us one of the best clubs in the world. And there has been good work that Levy himself has done. I don't want to give any credit to Joe Lewis because he's a coward. He's not at games. He's never around the training ground. We saw in the documentary.
He doesn't live in England.
I know, but I'm saying that he doesn't have any involvement with the club. And you look at Levy, the fact that he's around the training ground, he goes to games. It shows that he has an interest in football, and he cares about the club. And that's what I like about him, that he does sort of want to be involved with things. And I think that's where I'll give him credit, because he's transformed the club in terms of the business. He's made us a lot bigger as a club. Like, we're a much bigger club from when he took over. That's just a fact. It simply is. He's made us commercially as a brand a lot bigger, making a lot more money through, as I think it was Brian said, or little caller before, talking about Son, the shirt sales that he gets and the price that we signed him for. But you people saying that, we're not spending enough money over the years and not pushing the boat out, which is true. I do agree with that. However, the biggest problem for me is recruitment. The fact that this board they're employing people like Hitchin, for example. How is he getting employed? That's what I don't understand. They're employing the wrong people to who have full control of transfers. That's my biggest problem. At the club that we've got, the wrong people are in control of transfers, and that's why we should have. When we had Paul Mitchell, he was brilliant. You look at the players that he brought in. He's now at Leipzig, I believe. You look at the players he's at
Monaco. He's at Monaco now.
Oh, is it Monaco? Yeah, but even so, you look at Monaco. You look at who he's brought in there. He's done extremely well.
Monaco had a few years of not doing well, but they're right back at it this year since Paul Mitchell has joined. So I tell you that.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that this year. But the fact that he left, he said that Tottenham was his dream job, actually, and he actually came at the same time with Poch from Southampton, I believe. So for a guy like that to resign because he can't work with Levy and this board, whoever it is, I think that's a joke, because how can a guy that must have been an extremely tough decision for him to quit what he called his dream job, because he can't work with this board because of their whatever the problem is, their just tightness on transfers. And yet the problem is they go and employ Hitchin. That's my biggest issue with them. They employ Hitchin, who openly said, by the way, on his documentary that he hates the January transfer window. Well, if you hate it, why are you in a job?
Yeah, I think you've taken that a tiny bit out of context, but I get your point.
But I understand that, but you look at it, right? Any guy that's ambitious and wants to be in the job like that wouldn't say he hates it, because the thing is, he's clearly not good at his job. Because it's it's since he's come in, the transfers on a whole, we've had a few good buys, as we know. There's been a lot, like you look at Ndombele, even Lo Celso you can put in there, Højbjerg. There's been good buys in there, but on a whole, a lot of money's been wasted. I read a stat the other day that if you add up all the money that we've spent on players that haven't worked out, it accumulates to around £400 million. Which is staggering. I don't know what you guys think of that, because that's staggering.
That's a lot of money.
It
It's
is
a lot of
staggering,
wasted money.
but that just shows to me that they are putting in money, though.
They are, but the problem is the recruitment's the problem. That as I said, the board, the reason why all that money's been wasted is because of the people that they're employing. Like as I said, Hitchin, the fact that they're employing Hitchin is the reason why that money's going to waste. That's my view on it, anyway.
Yeah, look, I agree with you in terms of the recruitment since Paul Mitchell has left has been shot to pieces. I think that's a no-brainer. I think that's completely spot on. But I think that people should give Daniel Levy a lot more credit than they're giving him in terms of the way the club was when he took over to the way it is now. Because in terms of title challenges, Champions League finals, you know, we could only dream of that before Daniel Levy took over the club. Let's be honest. And in terms of getting to the Champions League final, getting to FA Cup semi-finals, Carabao Cup final under Pochettino, you know, you can't blame Levy for not winning those semi-finals and cup finals. The squad and the team were good enough to go out and win those games.
100%. I agree with that. And I think you look at, as you said, you look at sort of with Poch and stuff, that you're right, our team was good enough. But as Brian said, we needed that extra bit of investment at the end just to push us on. Because maybe if we'd bought at the end of the last season at White Hart Lane, just maybe if we'd bought a game changer, like I can't remember who it was we were linked with back then, but if we'd bought a proper game changer, maybe we would have won those semi-finals. You never know, because we might have had that extra bit of magic in there to get us a goal and win us the game. You never know. With that extra bit of investment and extra bit of tweaks, we could have had that. We could have had that player in there that would have won us the finals and semi-finals. You never know. But look, I agree with your point that Levy's not the manager. He doesn't pick the team. I agree with that, and I think that's for me the mentality thing. And whether that stems from the top, which it does in a way, but whether that has an effect on the reason why we didn't win is another story. But I think that was the mentality thing. And I think if you look at the big picture, the mentality does stem from the top. That's how I see it anyway.
Well, rating out of 10 for Levy. It was time at the club for 20 years.
If you're looking at a business point of view on what he's done commercially, I think I'll give him a 10. Honestly, it's been immaculate, the business. But if you look at the footballing side, he has done some good things. Like you look at, as you said, where we were 20 years ago. But overall, one League Cup in 20 years is nowhere near good enough, and you're getting rival fans taking the piss out of it, which is the worst thing to take for me overall. So I'll probably give him a 5. I can't go any higher than a 5, so I'll probably say a 5 to be honest, simply because of the lack of trophies.
If I told you, if you weren't a Spurs fan, didn't know anything about Spurs, and I said to you, Spurs are, you know, flirting with relegation some years, lower end of the mid-table, an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup final win in the last 10 years, and Daniel Levy takes over the club at that stage where we're literally a really poor side, nearly went under at some stage under Irving Scholar, then Alan Sugar took over, saved the club a bit, and blah, blah, blah. And then Daniel Levy took over, a complete shit show where, you know, no club in England completely respected us. The fans knew we were shit. Blah, blah, blah. 20 years later, we've been to a Champions League final, flirting with winning the league title, Champions League for the past 5-6 years, whatever,
Arsenal, which we didn't
whatever
do for
it may be,
time.
which we could only dream of before, finishing above Arsenal 5 years in a row, whatever it may be, which we could only dream of before, which you can remember when you were growing up, Arsenal were going for league titles, undefeated, all this kind of stuff. What would you give Levy then?
Yeah, no, I said that he has done some good things for this club, considering, like, as I said, I obviously was only about probably 1 or 2 years old when they took over. And you look at the way they've transformed this club. It's been.
But I'm talking about just on the pitch achievements. That's all I'm talking about.
Oh, on the pitch, yeah. I think you have to look at it in that sense, but I'm just the lack of trophies. I just can't get out of my head for that question. That's the issue with me. I just can't. For me, this is just my opinion anyway. I just can't see past the lack of trophies because, like, you look at Football's about winning trophies a lot of the time, and that's what it is for me as well. Getting success, getting your team over the line, winning the big trophies, the Champions Leagues, Premier Leagues, whatever it may be. But I think we just needed that extra step. We've needed an extra step, and they haven't been able to do that for whatever reason. But they have taken steps. There's no two ways about it. They have taken a few steps, but my biggest issue, which I just can't seem to see past, is they can't take that extra step. And that's just my opinion anyway about it.
All right. Would you rather a couple of trophies along the way in the last 20 years, let's say 3 Carabao Cups, 2 FA Cups, and never being in the Champions League and flirting with like mid-table mediocrity and being below Arsenal for the last 20 years? Would you have taken that?
Oh, no, I don't mean the cups. I mean, like, obviously, if you're choosing, because we talk about this for this season as well, like, people that say like, for me, as a lot of people say, a Carabao Cup and finishing 6th wouldn't be success. And that's true because we need the Champions League. And look, I think Champions League football is much more important for this club than like winning a Carabao Cup and finishing 10th or something. But I mean, going to the very top, like in the Champions League final, for example, winning the Champions League final, things like that, the big trophies in the game. And look, I do agree with you guys. Champions League football on a whole is more important than winning like one Carabao Cup, for example, in a season. It is more important because by getting Champions League, you can attract the big players. You can bring in more revenue, so you have more money to go and spend on the big players. So yeah, and then that can propel you onto the very top. With having that Champions League, that extra attraction and extra revenue as well. So yeah, Champions League, it's very important for this club. There's no two ways about it.
Okay, and in terms of the Zagreb game, let's move on to that quickly. What kind of lineup do you want to see in that game? Do you want to see the big boys play? Do you want to see the big hitters, or do you think we can afford to rest a few players and maybe have them in reserve just in case things turn sour?
It's a tricky one, really, because we saw in the last round with Wolfsberger, they were by far the weakest opposition left in the competition. This game against Dinamo Zagreb is a much tougher test for us. It really is. However, they are one of the weaker sides left in the competition. If you look at some of the other sides that we could have got, they're a decent team, top of the Croatian league. So, yeah, it won't be a straightforward game. But I think, as Mourinho said, there will be a few changes. He said Højbjerg is going to be rested in this one. It will be his turn. So, I'd probably go, obviously, Lloris in goal. I think it's too risky to play Joe Hart in this one. Left back, I want to say Reguilon, but I'm worried he's going to put Ben Davies, number 33, Mr. Anonymous. I'm worried he's going to go with him because it's been a common theme that he's been doing on the Thursday. You saw it against Fulham; he did it last week. So I think he'll probably go with him. As much as I might not agree with that. In the middle, I think obviously Toby. I'm not sure if he'll be able to do this one, but considering he's played 3 games in the last week, so I do fear, and I'll say fear because I think that's the right word for it. I do fear that he's going to put Dyer in there. I really do fear that, and that's always a big risk, even against these types of teams. Because you saw against Wolfsberger, he should have been sent off in that game. So it is a risk putting Dyer in any game because mistakes are coming. So if it was up to me, I'd probably go for probably stick with Sanchez and Toby. But if it maybe I'd probably go for Tanganga and Toby, Tanganga and Sanchez. Sorry, if Toby can't play, because I just can't have Dyer anywhere near this team because it's getting to a point now where it's a mistake every game. So personally, for me, I don't want to see Dyer anywhere near. Right back. Hopefully Aurier's back in. To be honest, because he hasn't played the last couple when he's apparently been fit. So I'll probably go for him there because I think we have to have one of Aurier and Reguilon in this game. We do at least one of them. So I'll probably go Aurier there. In the middle, I think Ndombele will come back in, probably alongside Sissoko. As if you look at our squad, Sissoko is probably the closest thing we've got to Højbjerg. Out of all the other players, because obviously Skip's on loan. He'd be so handy for this game. He really would, Skip, because he'd be able to fill in for Højbjerg. But look, obviously, if Højbjerg's rested, Sissoko is probably the closest thing we've got in that role. So I'll probably put Sissoko there. In the 3 behind, I'd probably Dele Alli to come back in. I think, as Mourinho said, hasn't played a lot of football for a while. He'll probably come back in for this one. It'll be good to see because when he's played recently, I've been quite impressed with him. So, yeah, Dele on the left, I think you'll probably see maybe Steven Bergwijn come back in potentially. I think for me, you have to start one of Kane or Son. And I think that might be Son, to be honest. That's my gut feeling. I feel like he might go Son up top like he did against Everton that time. As I said, I'll go Son up top, probably Bergwijn. On the left, he'll probably go. And then on the right, maybe Lamela. I think Lamela should play this one because it obviously on the bench against Crystal Palace. So, yeah, Lamela deserves to start this one. He really does. And I back him to get a goal because he's definitely tends to like a goal in Europa League. Obviously, he got the Rabona in this competition. So, yeah, I'll go Lamela in this one. But I think it's important that we put one of Kane or Son in this one because we can't underestimate these. We really can't. As I said, they're top of the Croatian league. They're doing very well. They've got momentum. They've got confidence. And I think that's something you can never take lightly in football. When you look at some of their players, they've got decent players. You look, there's a winger they've got, Mislav Orsic. He's a player who's got 18 appearances this season with 10 goals and 3 assists. Wow. He can play all across the front line, left wing, up front, and on the right wing as well. Already made 5 caps for Croatia. Young player as well. Actually, no, he's not young. He's 28, but still, really good player in there.
Good stats.
Yeah, I just thought I'd bring them on for the stream. I pre-planned for this one. He's a good player. He's a good player, Orsic, as well. I haven't seen him play a lot, but he's got some card on FIFA, which is brilliant. Like it's got like 99 pace and everything. So that's how I originally knew about him. But look, he's definitely one to look out for. And their striker, Petkovic, as well, who's been getting quite a few goals in this season's Europa League as well. So yeah, look, we can't take this game lightly. As we know with the big game on Sunday against Arsenal, he'll have to think of a few things in there. But look, we really can't take them lightly. And look, if we go with the right attitude and the right commitment and we don't underestimate them, I think we should hopefully get through this over 2 legs.
All right.
Charlie, absolute pleasure as always. Thanks for coming on, man.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Mate. All right, nice one. All right, let's keep going.
All right, let's get Cody back on.
Is Cody there?
I'm just going for a dial for a sec.
Yeah, I can hear you, mate.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Cody.
Yeah, I had a nice little chat there with myself for about 3 or 4 minutes talking about Enoch and Levy, and before I realized I wasn't even on anymore.
Sorry about that, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I think it was a problem on my end for sure. Yeah, I mean, the gist of it is, being a North American and having a little bit more of a history of following North American sports, I was just going to say how a lot of Spurs fans don't really know what they have in terms of the ownership and the chairman. If you had have gone back 15 years to 2005 when, you had Mourinho's Chelsea dominating whatnot, and you had have told Spurs fans that in 2020, you're going to have a £1 billion stadium and you're going to be able to attract the likes of Jose Mourinho to your club for management, anyone would have easily made that trade, even if it meant only having the one trophy in the cabinet. But to quote a famous American sports film, if you build it, they will come. I think you can't really judge Levy's performance separately from the business and the football side because they're so crucially intertwined. And he's doing such an excellent job of getting the bones in place and the spine of the club in place. I think that 5-10 years down the road, we'll all be looking back at this kind of criticism with a little bit of, wondering what we were thinking. But that's my thoughts on Enoch.
Do you not think? Yeah, but there's an argument to be said that maybe a football club and a business are two. You can't always treat a football club like it's a business because a football club's different. There's a community feel, there's a family feel to a football club. It belongs to the fans, and the fans always want what's best for the football club. And a lot of the times, owners come in and they do treat it like a business and just a way to make money, and they disrespect what the club means to the local community and what the club means to the fans. And the fact that we have only won one trophy in the past 20 years under their ownership, is that not maybe a sign that maybe they haven't been focusing enough on the footballing side of running the club, and maybe too focused on making sure the business side is up to scratch and treating it more like a business than it should be?
Maybe, I think that's a bit of a short-sighted view. I know it's been a 20-year span here, so it's a pretty big sample size. But like I was saying before, when you lay the groundwork, when you have the training center, when you have the academy, look at the way the academy has improved here in the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, it looks like we've got a steady stream of homegrown talent waiting to come into the ranks here. And that's really one of our biggest challenges as a club right now, is meeting our home quota with quality. So let's all just pump the brakes here a little bit on the whole Enoch out movement, because, you know, there's if you compare it to some of the North American franchises, we got some real trash ownership over here. And the way that English football is set up, there's relegation to incentivize the competition. You have a real problem in North American major sports where a lot of clubs are purposely not competing in order to gain draft picks and build their youth program that way. So I don't see anything wrong. I mean, we've been within an inch here. Look at the Champions League final. That could have gone either way. It's one game final, right? So we've put ourselves in the right positions here in the last few years, and I think that we've been taking steps in the right direction in building.
I agree with what you're saying. I think we are obviously moving in the right direction in terms of where we were when he took over and where we are now. That's clearly night and day in terms of on the pitch and off the pitch, if you got to say with both aspects. But when I guess the frustration comes when, as Tottenham fans who are season ticket holders and pumping a lot of money into the club, you know, season tickets are one of the highest in the whole of the UK in terms of the season ticket prices, and ticket prices have always been historically pretty high at Tottenham as well. And when we're spending that much money and then you hear stories of Levy not going the extra mile in the transfer market, do you understand where the frustration comes from?
Of course, but you know, I think I don't want to really coin the term process here, but it is definitely a process, and I think that if we are moving slowly in the right direction, that's positive, and we shouldn't really take away from that. There's a lot of clubs. Look at the way Arsenal are moving right now. I mean, I know we like to rag on them because they're the scum, but man, that club could be in some serious trouble here in the next 10 years. They might not be looking at European football. Their revenues, we've overtaken them in revenue streams. They've got some serious, like they're rotten to the core, and you can't say the same things about Spurs. You really can't. It's really been tragic, the timing of the pandemic and everything, considering that we just got our feet under us with the brand new stadium. But let's give it some time here. I think down the road we'll be looking back saying that we made the right moves. You know.
All right, I like the positivity. But looking ahead to the game on Thursday against Zagreb, how would you like us? How do you think we should be approaching this game? Do you think we should be saying this is no chance for a trophy and we can't take it lightly and we got to play Kane and Son and Bale, or do you look at it and say, you know, we got a North London derby on Sunday, and if we can give some of these A-listers, as should I say, a bit of a rest before that game, that would be a better solution. What's your thoughts?
Well, just one sec. Let me put my manager's cap on here to answer this question.
Yeah, please.
So I don't know if you can tell that.
Oh, what was that?
That's no, it's a dinosaur.
Dinosaur.
Yeah, just I'm Mourinho in for sure. Here's how I see it. How would you rather go into a North London derby? Would you rather be coming in off the back of a 4-1 smashing of Zagreb, or would you rather be resting key players and maybe scraping by, or maybe even ending up in a draw and having that kind of lingering over your head? I think Mourinho is going to keep his foot on the gas here. You know, he's going to come out with a very strong team. We're going to look to take the initiative and put the tie to bed here in the first leg. And that way we can carry that momentum into the North London derby. I don't think he's going to risk losing the momentum that we've built here in the last 7 or 8 days with the 3 victories in the league. And if you look at the way that he's managed the squad here, even through Europa and everything, he's put as strong out a squad as he possibly can each time. And I know that we've played so many games here in the season, but you know, when you're out for a jog and you feel like you're running out of gas, and then suddenly you hit that second wind, I kind of see us hitting that second wind, even with the players who have been overplayed, like Højbjerg and whatnot. I think these players are now settling into a rhythm. We've got good chemistry on the pitch right now. There's lots of reasons to continue on with a good core of the starting 11 that we saw on Sunday. So I see it as full power for Zagreb, and let's go running downhill into the Emirates.
Oh, I love that. Love that. What's your prediction for the score?
3-0.
3-0.
Absolutely. I'm with Brian on this one. I'm against Brian on his opinion of Levy, although it was nice of you guys to argue him into a rating of 5 out of 10. But I see no reason why we can't go in there and smash them. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Cody, great to speak to you, mate. And I've seen you on Twitter quite a bit. You comment a lot of our stuff, but really appreciate you calling in.
Guys, can I quickly just pump my channel?
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I don't have one.
Oh.
But what I would like to say is to your subscribers is how important it is for them to click that like button and not to wait until you guys request it in the middle of the stream. You know, if you're enjoying the content, especially if you're not a gold member or a silver member, and you consume all the videos like I do, don't wait to be asked to click that like button. It really matters to these guys, and it translates into money, which translates into increase in quality and content. And I just want to say thanks for having me on, guys. I'm going to join. I'm going to become a gold member today, and I'm really looking forward to being a part of the community.
Thank you,
Big
Cody,
up yourself, Cody, and welcome to the family.
Looking forward to having you back on the show.
Glory, glory. Tottenham Hotspur, boys.
Love it. Absolutely love it, Cody. Good to speak to you, mate. Good to have you on.
Okay, take care.
Speak to you in a bit. That was good call.
Yeah, it's also worth noting with Levy, because obviously we're backing him up a lot in this stream.
Well, actually, I was kind of playing the other.
Oh, well,
I was trying to argue.
I wasn't here for that one, but in terms of what I've been saying about Daniel Levy, it's also worth noting that we've been very
critical,
very, very critical about him over the years, and I just want to get it straight that he has done good work that people kind of brush over because of the negativity. And I just would like to say that most of the things that you are bringing up about his negativity, we completely agree with, don't we?
Yeah, of course. I think we've been just as frustrated as anyone else, I think, about the lack of real ambition, I would say, in terms of... I think ambition in terms of where we are moving as a club is there, but in terms of the ambition of the serious moments where we really need to push the boat out a bit more, to really challenge, we just always continuously... It's been a continuous trend that every time we get so close, I can almost touch it, and he never gives us that extra bit, that extra lift we need. And he'd always try, and he would rather us overachieve than us be favourites for something.
It's like you're on a 10-story building, and you're at the bottom floor at the lift, and you can't get up to that 10th floor. You're just getting out to that 9th floor every time, but the lift is broken from 9 to 10.
Literally. And I think he has to take a lot of credit for us getting to the 8th or 9th floor, as you say. But I think he's also been at fault for not getting to that 10th floor so many times.
But I think that a lot of the good work he does gets buried under the shit.
But what I would say with him is because football clubs, they go in cycles, right? And you go through good moments and you go through bad moments. You can't stay at the top forever. You always have to go through a cycle. You've got to rebuild at some point.
Unless you're Real Madrid.
Even them, they're going through a cycle now, aren't they?
Yeah, they're still second in the league, though.
Yeah, but you go through cycles. You don't, they won Champions Leagues. You don't win Champions Leagues forever. You know what I mean? You go through a cycle in terms of how good you are. And we always get to the top of our cycle, and then... We never push
big up Cody, new member.
Exactly, big up Cody, Mac. Love that. We always get to the top of our cycle, right? And we always get to the pinnacle of what we've achieved, and it never ends in a trophy. It never ends in something never ends in something that you look back on and say, "Wow, what an amazing achievement!" It looks like, but always the nearly men. And then when we end that cycle without having achieved anything, and then we have to rebuild again. And it's frustrating when knowing you have to rebuild again, having not achieved what you could have achieved at the top of that cycle. And it happened under Redknapp, it happened under Pochettino, and hopefully it doesn't happen now under...
It's happened under pretty much
Mourinho.
Every manager, let's be honest.
Exactly. So that's a big frustration. We don't make the best use. As I always said, when I say you have to score when you're on top, we never do. We never score when we're on top. And it's like the board filters down into the team. Like we never score when we're on top. We always waste that chance. And it ends up, when we waste that chance, and then the opposition end up scoring all the time. That's what keeps happening with us.
Yeah, and it just shows how we needed that heavy investment for 3-4 years under Poch. And it took for us to get to a Champions League final then to invest. You know what I mean? When we needed the investment beforehand.
Yeah, it's true.
But look, let's get David on.
But Kev Williams as well says, huge respect for Levy. Look at the stadium for starts. That's super chat there from...
Yes, David, long time no speak. If you want to check out the big Arsenal preview, check out on the Irish Hotspurs channel. We went over there this morning to chat everything about the North London derby this weekend. But we're not here to talk about North London derby. We're here to talk about Zagreb. And how are you feeling coming into the game, David?
Yeah, I'm all good. Look, I understand you have to respect teams and, they can cause a threat. But it's Zagreb. for me, look, we've got away throughout this Europa League campaign with a lot of the side men, a lot of the sideshow. For me, look, they do have a couple of good players in there, and they have this team camaraderie. They're in the last 16. They're playing Tottenham Hotspur, but look, Palace are better than them. Burnley are better than them. You know what I mean? We play teams week in, week out that are better than these guys. I get having to respect them, and I respect their journey, whatever. But the truth is, it's only the Croatian league. If they were in the Premier League, it wouldn't be. They wouldn't probably get relegated. To be honest with you. So for me, look,
I think that's a bit unfair, David. I think that's a bit unfair.
Yeah, no, look, each to their own. Some say it is, some say it isn't. Only over the two legs will it be dictated. But I genuinely do think that, we play a lot of better teams week in, week out in the Premier League. It is only the Croatian league at the end of the day. When you take in context, it's most of the teams they're playing week in, week out. They're not the best. There's some awful teams.
No, but David. If Crystal Palace were in the Europa League, you're saying they would be unbeaten like Zagreb are. They would be unbeaten in the Europa League. I don't know if they would. I think that's impressive.
I think they would,
You think they would?
We're hardly conceding a goal as well.
We're not even unbeaten in Europa League.
Exactly.
We lost to Antwerp.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but they played their first team week in, week out in the Europa League. We haven't.
Yeah,
They had a group of Feyenoord, CSK Moscow, and Wolfsberger. That's
and
a tough group for the Europa League.
Wolfsberger we battered. Feyenoord, look, they've fallen down the Dutch league impeccably. They're like the Arsenal of the Dutch league. And CSK Moscow, they're not the same as what they used to be either.
Fair enough. But in terms of the lineup, what are you thinking? Are you thinking Kane and Son from the start and look to bring them off once we have the game wrapped up? Or are you looking maybe have them on the bench just in case things are going sour and then bring them on? What are you thinking about the lineup?
Yeah, no, look, for me, first of all, Toby Alderweireld and Bale, don't bring them. Leave them rest for the North London Derby. Son and Kane, put on the bench. Ndombele is going to start, in my opinion. I think Aurier is going to start. So you do have some good first-team players already in there. So it's just about filling in the gaps around it. Sanchez, think he might play with, I think, Eric Dyer. I think you are going to see, I'll call him moon boots, because anytime he kicks the ball, it just goes into orbit. But, for me, I do think you are going to see him in there beside Sanchez. Left back, I think you're going to see Mr. Anonymous. I don't even want to say his name because he infuriates me. Midfield, one thing I do want to say, and Sim, I know you're going to have an answer for this, but for me, I wouldn't play Winks. I wouldn't start Winks tomorrow night. I would start Sissoko in beside Endon Baller.
I agree with that.
Soul Train purely because, look, he just doesn't have the strength to be in there. These teams, look, they're going to be niggly, but it's only as difficult as you make it. And Winks isn't that sort of niggly player. He's not going to get in there. He's not going to want to win ball. Whereas Moussa Soul Train will steam through them. You know what I mean? He'll steam through one man and on to the next. It's not a bother for him. So for me, you put your two combative lads in there, Ndombele and Sissoko. You try and win that midfield battle. Once you win that midfield battle, you're on the ball. You take the game to them. Then you start feeding the likes of Dele, who, may I add, is in confidence. He wasn't in form when he was playing some of these games. He's full of confidence now. So he's going into that game confident. You can put trust in him that he's going to go out there and perform. Lamela on the right-hand side, he does his job. You can put confidence that he's going to go out there and perform. Left-hand side, you put Bergwijn out there. Look, he has a point to prove. I'm not convinced he's going to make it at Tottenham. And then up top, you can play Vinicius. Vinicius has proven to us he can get the goals. They're going to have two big, strong centre-backs. And look, so Vinicius is going to be ideal for them. He's going to fight for them. I genuinely think you could send out that team with Lloris and goals, and I think you could beat these.
If we're 1-0 up going into the last, say we go with that team and we're 1-0 up going into the last half an hour, do you bring on a Kane and Son and try and kill the game and get that second goal, or do you say we're 1-0 up, let's just see how the rest of the game goes and no need to risk them at that point?
No, do you know what? I'd probably bring them on for the last 20, to be honest with you. Let them stretch out the legs. Hopefully they don't pick up an injury. Hopefully we can go and make it 2-0. What have you got to lose at that point? But at the same time, look, we've 2 legs. I'm convinced over 2 legs we'll beat these.
Regardless of what happens tomorrow night. And five subs as well makes a factor, I think.
Yeah, exactly. A massive factor. So for me, I genuinely do think, look, over 2 legs, you're going to beat them. Going out to Croatia this time of the year, it's not the nicest. It will be cold. Will that affect the players? I've seen big teams gone out to the likes of Ukraine and places like that and drop points. So that is going to be a factor. But ultimately, over 2 legs, we should have enough. We should have more than enough confidence in the boys to do this to get through into the quarters. I genuinely do think it's an easy enough play. That's my opinion, and I think I will be proven right with a 3-1 scoreline.
Yeah, I get your point. It is an easy enough tie. It's probably one of the easiest ties we could have got in the last 16. There's no two ways about it. But I just wanted to say that they have been performing really well this season. So confidence is obviously high in their camp. So it's not going to be as easy as everyone says.
No, I know that. I know what you're saying. Like I've watched them form. They're top of the league and everything else with a game in hand and stuff. But ultimately, there's levels to this game. We're Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah,
we're a Premier
100%.
League outfit. We've been a Champions League outfit for the last few years. You know what I mean? Europa League for them, Champions League group stage is as good as they get. So ultimately, we should be playing these off the park. Even with a mixture of a team out there, they should still be good enough to beat these. Look, they're going to be tidy on the ball. These Croatian players, they always are. You look at the national team, they're always tidy on the ball. They know how to look after the ball. But it's just about doing your job, executing the basics. And like I say with these ties, it's only as difficult as you make it. But just to make this tie a little bit interesting, lads, do you know they actually have an Arsenal under-23 player in their squad?
No,
Do
I
they?
didn't know that.
Yeah. What's his name
more
here?
so to lick the lips with. Come on.
Yeah, what's his name? I think his name is his name is like Rob Burton. I think I did have it written down somewhere, but his name is Rob Burton or something like that. I think he's a midfielder, and he was bought in the summer by them, and he's out there trying to get out there in the squad. And that, like, I don't think he plays too much, but you know it's going to make it tasty. He was out in the papers spouting already out of him that he's going to be up for it. They're going to be up for it. But look, at the end of the day, it's not too long ago we're in the Champions League final.
Let me get your take on Daniel Levy. Obviously, 20 years since Enoch took over the club. What's your thoughts? What rating would you give him out of 10?
First of all, on Daniel Levy, look, what I will say is people have to understand that ultimately he's paid to be the fall guy. So no matter what happens, it's all talk about him.
Forget about Daniel Levy. Talk about Enoch.
Sorry?
Forget Daniel Levy then. Talk about Enoch.
Look, Enoch, for me, people say, we're not the Man Cities of this world. We don't have whale money. But at the end of the day, they do have a lot of money that they could pump into this club. Like at times, they could look, they do spend money, but what they're spending the money on is the problem. They're trying to get 2 or 3 players rather than getting that one player. Like since we sold Kyle Walker, we've tried Trippier, we've tried Ori, we've tried Doherty. Now, if we put all that money together and just went out and got the real deal to replace him in the first place, you could have spent other money that you spent over the years in other positions and strengthen them positions. And at times when they know we're having a good season, you're thinking come January, nice one, a signing or 2 in here. We really have a chance. And ultimately they disappoint you. They don't get you what you need. They don't get the managers what they need. Pochettino has said it. Redknapp has said it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of managers that have come out and said it. I think when Mourinho leaves, if he doesn't get back this summer, I think he'll come out and say it eventually. It's just the timing of what they do is not good enough. Like the thing is, another thing that annoys me with this is, so we've been on this process for 20 years. Now I get we got a brand new stadium, brand new training complex, completely revamped Tottenham from when I started supporting as a kid. It's completely changed. Respect, business level, perfect. It's what you want. The club is running on its own money. It's brilliant. But the owners, there comes a point where the owners have to put their hands in their pocket. And when you look at the likes of Leicester, their owners come in. Look at the massive change in Leicester straight away. Win and won a Premier League. Now they're up there challenging all the time. You know what I mean? They recruit well. And that's what it comes down to ultimately. They've done it in such a quicker turnaround than what we have. We've bought into this process for the last 20 years and haven't been rewarded. They're only a few years into the cycle. They've been rewarded. We were miles ahead of Liverpool.
But David, you talk about Leicester and, they won the league, but it's got nothing to do with their owners, why they won that league. Let's be honest. They had a squad there that was nowhere near the level of our squad. Let's be honest. They had a defensive. Who was in their defense? Robert Hoof,
Morgan, Wes Morgan, Danny
you know
Simpson.
what I mean? You wouldn't even take them on our bench. Never mind starting.
Well, Rob Hoot was also exceptional at Chelsea at one point, lads. At Middlesbrough and that as well. So he's a proven Premier League player.
Yeah, but what? Danny Simpson.
Mahrez ended up at City. You
you're
look at
talking
Danny
about
Drinkwater,
one or
ended up
two
at
players.
Chelsea. You look at N'Golo Kante. He ended up at Chelsea.
Would you sign
You know
more
what I mean?
Mark
You look at
Albright
what they've
now? Would you
replaced
want
him
more
with. They've
Mark
replaced him
Albright?
with good players.
Would you want to sign Albright right now? Would you want him in the team?
No, but like what I'm saying is if you compare him to like Bergwijn, like we went and spent 35 million on Bergwijn. Albrighton has a wicked cross on. Albrighton does get assists and he affects the game when he plays. This is the thing. It's recruitment. It's a major problem. Like if Leicester can come in, you know, buy their players for little, ultimately like what we try and do, and then sell them for major money like they have done, and also win a league title in the process. You have to question what is going on.
Well, that's what Levy always got criticised for selling our best players. That was one of the biggest criticisms that was leveled.
But the reason why I struggle to criticise Levy as much as others is because ultimately he's given the restraints to work under from Enoch. He's paid to take the slack. He's paid, you know what I mean, to basically pretend to be the owner of Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? So any criticism that comes at Tottenham, ultimately everyone blames Levy. But now people are starting to see through that and realise that it's not. It's Enoch. Like at the end of the day, whatever Levy does for Tottenham, it's the constraints Enoch are putting on it.
You know what, David? I don't think we got enough time to like go into so deep into this Levy thing. But I think what we're going to need to do is do a separate live stream just about Enoch and Levy in 20 years, because I think that there's a lot of conversations.
In 20 years' time, we'll do it like that.
I think there's a lot of conversations that need to be had, aren't there, David?
No, look, 100%. And if you are doing a live stream, please bring me on, because I do have a lot more to say. But ultimately, lads, I really do want to say thank you so much for coming on my channel earlier on today. It really does mean a lot. And everyone that's watching, you know what I mean? Like the previous guy, Cody Mack, said, make sure you smash the like, make sure you smash the subscribe, grab a membership. It all helps the lads. At the end of the day, this is where we all come on. We have our say. We're all one big family. You're not going to get this anywhere else. So make sure you help take these boys to the top, even though they already own YouTube.
Big up yourself, David.
Nice one,
and
David.
Everyone go and subscribe to the Irish Hotspur as well. Brilliant preview. I enjoyed it very much. Nice hour-long chat about the derby this morning. So do go and check that out. But David, thanks a lot for coming on, and we'll see you after the game, hopefully.
Hopefully see you tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. You know I'll be on. But look, lads, 100%. There's a big discussion around Enoch, a massive discussion, because look, there's a lot of pros and cons. So it's going to be a good one when you do get it up and running.
Yeah,
nice one.
100%.
Nice one, David.
Thanks a lot, David, and I'll
Speak
speak to you soon.
See you, lads. Come on,
Nice
you
one.
Spurs.
Come on.
Come on, you Spurs. 100%.
Come on.
Who have we got next?
Last one? All right,
we got one more.
I believe it's Bobby, is it?
Bobby Singh. Come on,
Come
son.
on, Bobby.
Bob Spur. The Bob Spur. The top Spur, the Bob
Bobby.
Spur. Yes, Bobby. How's it going, mate? You're on mute, I think.
Yeah, sorry.
There we
sorry,
go.
guys.
There we go. It's all good, mate.
All right, mate.
All right, Bobby. How's it going? How you doing?
Yeah, good. Confident about tomorrow. You know, I think a lot I've been discussing all through the stream. There'll be a couple of changes, but I think we should be confident enough to whoever we put out, we should get the beating of Zagreb.
You say there's going to be a couple of changes. What sort of lineup do you expect to see out there?
I think Aurier is going to come in, and because Aurier comes in, I do think he'll play Davis just to give us that solidity. I mean, a lot of people are underestimating Zagreb. Fair enough, you know, they're not the greatest of teams, but I think, you know, when you're on top of the league and you haven't lost that many games in the league, one thing they will bring is confidence. So there is going to be that confidence about them that they'll think, you know, we'll take anybody on. Understandably, I think whichever league you play in, if you've got in that sort of form, you will be that. In midfield, I think it's gone. I think it's pretty much gone on record to say Pierre's going to be having a rest. I think he will play Winks, make Sim's day. I think he is going to play Winks. I think Tanguy's going to play. I think he'll play.
Sim doesn't even want Winks to play.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's saying Winks to play, but I don't know.
Yeah, when did that happen? But, I think he'll play Vinny up front, and I think he'll play Ali. But personally, and in my opinion, and it is just an opinion, I think Lucas might be better, because him and Lucas and Vinny seem to have this understanding, don't they? They really play well together.
Yeah.
But I do think he'll probably give Ali a few minutes. I think Bergwijn's gonna come in, and I think Lamella, despite what I think of him, I think Lamella will probably start down the right. So the big guns are going to be getting a rest, but like Davies just said, there's no reason why they can't come on for the last 10, 15, 20 minutes just to either solidify our scoreline or get a goal if it needs be. So, but I'm confident with the team, whichever team he puts out, we should be able to beat Zagreb.
Would you take a poor result in this one if it meant winning the North London derby?
No. There's no reason why. Again, going back to Jose, going back to the team, the confidence we have, never mind Zagreb, we should be beating them. There should be any reason, unless it's a one-off and a fluky game and they get a worldie. There's no reason if we play to our strength, even with those changes, we shouldn't be beating Zagreb.
Okay. And what's your prediction for the game then?
2-3-0, depending on it depends on the front four. The Fab Four, whichever four they are, is going to determine what kind of result.
Fab, whichever ones they are, they'll still be fab.
Yeah, they're going to be fab. Yeah, they're going to be fab. I think Lucas, what he brings to the team now, I think it's playing out wide doesn't suit him because he's never had a delivery on him. He's always had the dribbling skills, but out wide he's never had that end product. Whereas in the middle, playing through the middle now, I think the end product can be more achievable purely and simply because he's got some quality players a bit more near him, around him. So going through the middle is a definitive position now for Lucas. And what he brings, what Ali doesn't. Well, they both bring the pressing game. I think what Lucas has probably shown, he brings pressing with pace as well, whereas Ali probably relies on pressing and hoping someone else helps him out. I think Lucas has got something, he can press, win the ball, and then carry on as well. So, yeah, and I've been surprised by his performances of late, but all credit to Jose. Yes, I've said that.
That's what I like to hear, Bobby. That's what I like to hear. But in terms of Daniel Levy, 20 years, we've been kind of speaking to everyone, getting their opinions on him and what they kind of give their rating out of 10 for his 20-year tenure so far. Yeah,
I think you'll see Levy's and Enoch's tenure depending on how long you've supported Tottenham, really. If a bit like yourself, if you remember the mid-90s, early 90s, you'll probably see the Enoch tenure as a bit more of a success purely because of our qualification for the Champions League and how we've done with regards to position in the league, finishing above Arsenal. So because I've experienced the mid-90s and relying on a Vinny Samway's goal to get us out of a relegation trouble, it's I personally think, and you got to remember, we're probably lucky that we've got a hardcore Spurs fan as our chairman as well. He loves Tottenham. The pride he showed is shown in building that stadium. I don't think you probably get that with any other. If someone gave you money and said, "Here you go, here's money for the club you love. Go and build a home for it," you'd love that, and he's been able to do that. And it does. There is a people can be hypocritical by saying he's been excellent on the business side, but it's been pretty crap on the team side. If he's that savvy in his business acumen, and there's probably a reason why he's not spent the money he could possibly have done in the transfers. But I stand by, and I'm trying to sound like a broken record. The time for us to really invest was after that Champions League final. I really think we should have pushed on.
Do you not think we did that though? 65 million in Ndombele, 25 million Ryan Sessegnon, another 50 million for Lo Celso.
Yeah, but then you can have a list of the possible targets. I know you could, like you said, you can't guarantee success on any player really, but when you think about the possible targets we missed out on, Ben, there is a list there, matey, that could have taken us to the next level.
For me,
and we should have. Yeah,
for me, it actually wasn't that summer. I think it was the previous 3 summers. That's what it is for me, because I think in those moments we were looking so good and we just needed a couple of players to really kick on. I think by that season we got to the Champions League final. I thought it was a bit too late already by then.
Yeah, but I think the only thing that probably the Champions League final gave us was a bit more muscle, didn't it? It gave us a bit more clarity. So, look, we are officially the second best team in Europe.
Yeah.
Come to us. Look at our stadium. I know, probably would change, but we had everything on our side. We're a bit more clout probably after Champions League. But you're right. Yeah, but you're right. The season, because we were up yeah, we did reach Champions League final, but we were on a decline really on the pitch, weren't we? And
Exactly.
that was pretty evident to see.
It seemed as though getting to the Champions League final just really papered over the cracks of what was actually going on.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah.
But yeah. All right, Bobby. Thanks for coming on. And
can I just say one? Just say one thing
on.
before I go. I don't want to plug. Obviously, you mentioned Bob Spur TV, but on a personal note, I just want to kind of echo what Cody said about a year and a half ago. Not many people. I don't think I've ever mentioned on my channel as well. I had an open heart surgery, and I did literally die for about 6 minutes, about 6 minutes. At the same time, unfortunately, my brother passed away, my father-in-law passed away, so it was hard times. And I'll be honest with you, I was in hospital because I caught pneumonia as well for about a week and a bit. You guys, as cheesy as it sounds, it probably sounds really far-fetched, but you guys really helped me through. You know, I didn't agree. I've never. It's all about opinions. I've never agreed with everything you've said, but it's great to see a platform out there and for two guys who are passionate, just as passionate as any other diehard Spurs fan out there, to put content out there that really, really makes your day. It makes the day a bit easier. So, yeah, just a personal thank you from me, really, because you really, really, I don't think you realise how much you guys really helped. Yeah, just want to say thank you, mate, to both of you.
No,
but Ben, you're still my favourite.
I really appreciate your words, Bobby. I really do.
Cheers, Bobby.
And it's all down to you guys as well out there that really help make this happen. All of you guys coming on and giving your opinions, and
interacting with us. Yeah.
The main reason why we really started this is to give fans like you and everyone else that come on a voice. So I'm happy we can do that.
Fantastic. No, brilliant, mate. Absolutely fantastic. No problem. Cheers, guys.
Thanks
very much.
Thanks a lot, Bobby.
See you soon.
Hopefully we'll see you after the game tomorrow. See you in a bit.
Yes.
Cheers, mate.
See ya.
All right, that was a mammoth stream, over 2 hours, 15
That was good.
minutes.
That was good. Got a lot of opinions, people's opinions on tomorrow on Thursday, and Levy as well. Some good chat there. So really good stream, guys. Really enjoyed that, and looking forward to the game tomorrow now.
And now finally, a super chat here from Kev Williams. Can I get a score prediction tomorrow, please, lads?
See, I think everyone's underestimating Zagreb. I'm going to go. I think we'll win, but I don't think it's going to be as a blowout. I think it's going to be like 2-1.
2-1. The away goal could be crucial.
I know, that's what I'm worried about. But at least with a win, keeps a good momentum going, knowing that we're still ahead going to the second leg. And although a 1-0 loss would knock us out, I think we'd have enough in us in the second leg to get over the line. So I think a 2-1 win for us. I do expect a few changes, but I do expect one of Kane or Son to start. And I think we will get over the line. I think it'll be 2-1.
Yeah, I'm going for 2-0. I also don't think it's going to be a blowout, and I think people are underestimating Zagreb. But on the flip side, we should have enough quality to beat this lot fairly comfortably. I'm going for 2-0. I think it's going to be one of those games where Jose Mourinho does keep the opponent at arm's length, and we can punish them twice. So yeah, I'm going for 2-0.
Do you expect one of Kane or Son to start?
No, I think they're both going to start on the bench, and if need be, come on.
Okay.
All right, so there you have it. That is the mammoth pre-match fan show for Dinamo Zagreb, and the press conference reaction as well in there. And I had a lot of mixed in with 20 years of Daniel Levy as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream today. We'll see you again tomorrow for the live watch along, 8 o'clock kickoff at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Then it is your chance to have your say on the game on the post-match fan show. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.